Hey there viewers, thank you for tuning into Supermariodiagnostics once again. Today we have a 2011 BMW 528i with a crank no start concern. But first I'd like to thank our first ever official Supermariodiagnostics channel sponsor, Topdon. Topdon is making a great name for themselves by not only providing our industry with innovative tooling, but also showing their generous support for technical training both at a local level as well as a national level. In my experience, their customer service is second to none. They are the tools I pick up when working on complex diags and programming, and I recommend them highly. I've already done my pre-scan as per usual, and we're going to go ahead and go through it. We have some codes in the JBE, a lot of intermittent codes. You guys can see for yourself. You can pause it if you'd like to. But the first permanent one I go into that I see is the ECM and 1B5102 terminal 15_3 line from CAS. That's good information. Electrical short circuit to earth. You gotta love those code descriptions from BMW. They tell you it's a line from CAS. It's a terminal 15. It's probably a third. You know, they probably have multiple wires, terminal 15 wires. The third one, maybe not, who knows. And that it's sensing a short circuit to earth. We've got more intermittent codes. We got a parking lot disengaged and whatnot. Let's see more codes that we are not dealing with. We're dealing with a crank no start issue right now, and I would suppose that a terminal 15 issue would cause a crank no start. We need that, and since it's the ECM that's reporting this code, it's missing. It must be missing a terminal 15. So the CAS module, if those of you who don't know, BMWs have chosen the CAS module to be the terminal relay, so to speak, operator. So instead of having actual relays and whatnot, it all goes through the CAS module. Let's go through. So we do have some codes in the CAS module. The permanent code is a 93076A, deactivation of terminal 15, and upper startability limit reached, but deactivation preventer active. Deactivation preventer active. Okay, I think this is gonna be a straightforward thing. We're gonna look at the diagram and take a look at the terminal 15. Right now we're not addressing any of these other codes. We could probably take a look at live data. I don't know if it'll be a whole bunch of use. Due to the deactivation of terminal 15, we may see that the CAS module is not giving out terminal 15 to protect the CAS module from frying itself. So, but let's take a look anyway. Let's see. We're in the CAS module. We should be able to see some terminals. There we go, terminals. We're gonna select the whole thing. Terminal 15, 1, 2, and 3. So there should be 13 volts on whatever 15_3 is. I'm surprised it's not deactivated. Could there be no short right now? It's got a permanent short to ground code. Let's crank it and see what happens. They all stay there. I'm gonna turn it off. Everything turns off as it should. Vehicle terminal 15 is on again. It's all there, so that's weird. Maybe there's something we're missing there. I don't see any of them missing right now. So according to live data, terminal 15-_3 from the CAS module is outputting 13 volts. I don't know that we'll have the same live data at the DME. Let's take a look at the DME. We can actually communicate with the DME. Obviously, top down under the topology, we'll call it an ECM. Same thing. Let's see if we could see voltage supply data stream. States, if I'm not mistaken, nah, terminal 15. I don't know if it'll show everything we need. Shows terminal 15 on. What if we clear the codes? I already did my pre-scan. I already sent my pre-scan to my computer. What if clearing codes changes something here? Let's give it a shot. I don't know that it will. I really doubt it, but it would also be nice to see if it does or not. That would be some vital information. You'd be surprised. Sometimes these circuits, although it's claiming 15, I mean terminal 15 is on, doesn't necessarily mean it's coming out. And a lot of modules are smart nowadays with their circuitry. They are shutting off circuits to protect themselves. Maybe asking me to do the 10-second ignition off as a result of clearing codes. We'll see. There you go. Do terminal 15 off. It's clearing all the codes. That brings me to another point. I've seen it time and time again. People are saying don't clear codes until the vehicle's fixed. That is no longer the case anymore. I believe completely that is not the case. We're gonna turn the ignition off for 10 seconds and turn the ignition on once again and do a rescan, and even try to crank it and see if it runs. I don't think it will. So we're gonna do terminal 15 on. Since this is a pretty fast scan, I'm just gonna go ahead and scan it. Otherwise I would normally just try to crank it and then scan it, but I want to see if there's changes as I try this. So we already got a code in the ECM. As it's scanning, let's go ahead and take a look. It still sees a short circuit to earth, so this may also be one of those codes that will not clear unless it sees that it's fixed and it clears on its own. Let's go ahead and pause this. We don't need to continue. Actually, we should probably take a look at the CAS module. Where's the CAS? There's the CAS. The CAS isn't reporting anything. Let's see if after cranking it will. Let's go ahead and footwell module. Not worried about that. I wonder which portion of the DME this is affecting. Is it spark? Is it injection? Fuel pump? Well, no, fuel pump is a separate module. I'm thinking out loud here, fellas. Is the EKPS is the fuel pump module. I want to see if the CAS comes up with anything again. This is just absolute basics. This is just scanning, see what comes up. I know some people might not like that kind of method, but sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. You can't knock it until you try it. One day you will see that doing this kind of stuff will save you in a pinch. So let's just do a quick alright, transmission. Alright, so we're back to square one. The CAS module didn't report anything. Let's see if the CAS module is sending it out. What if there's an open circuit? That would explain why the DME says short to earth. It's not seeing terminal 15, but then the CAS is able to give 12-13 volts without it being shorted to ground. So there could be an open circuit issue here. There could be a pin tension issue here. Let's go to the data stream. Let's go to terminals once again. This would absolutely make sense if that were the case. So it's saying that it's sending out 13 volts. I kind of want to check it at the DME better instead of going down there and taking out the CAS module to check for terminal 15 there. I think that's going to be our plan of attack. Let's take a look at the diagram, see which connector is responsible for our terminal 15_3, and check to see if there are in fact 13 volts on there, or if it is shorted to ground, or if it's open circuited, or what have you, and then take it from there. So as per usual, we're going to all data for our aftermarket service information. No affiliation whatsoever. It's just my go-to service information. I get a lot of flack for using all data. Everyone knows the nickname No Data and whatnot, but I've had pretty good success with it. Of course, when it comes to certain euros, you're better off using the OE side of these diagrams, like I think will be our case here, because we have zero descriptions of our wiring here. So I think this is going to be a dead end using this, but let's just see if there is any car access system stuff in here. There is one hit for car access system, or for car at least, and we have 0 information. We do not know which one of these wires are it. We can deduce which ones are not it, but ultimately this is a dead end. So we're going to go to the OE side, and this is where it gets a little funky because you have to decide which one you're going to use. I'm going to go straight for the digital motor electronics, and maybe we'll get lucky. And we do see already down here components. Car access system is A16. Let's see if we can find anything else before we open up that thing. All right, so on lines we see 15_3. It is power supply terminal 15. Great. Let's find out where exactly that wire is at. And we're going to use our find feature, and I'm just going to type in, see if we get lucky, 15_3, and we do have one hit. I'm going to zoom in because I can't see squat. Neither can you. I can already see it. So we have our A16 car access module, 15_3. It is a green and yellow wire, and it's going to pin 5 of our DME on connector. Let's see, pin 5 on connector, where is it? Go all the way to the end, A12 asterisk 1B. So let's just click on that, see where it takes us. A12. Oh, so this computer is on the intake manifold around that area, and this is what we're looking for, A12 star 1B. Let's go to the DME and see if we can get to this connector, and hopefully we'll be able to access the terminal 15 wire. We're going to do a quick visual inspection of the harness and whatnot, and take it from there. So there is our DME. This is the connector in question. I do see a yellow and green here. I don't see any holes on it. I don't know that they've gotten this far with testing, the other shop I mean. So, but I do see the clip missing here to lock it down. So somebody's been in here for sure. I'm just gonna basically put it out there like that. I'm just tugging on it just to make sure that it's not open circuited. The old Keith DeFazio tug, you know. For those of you who don't know, New Level Auto, he is the man. I'm just gonna check pin tension real quick. I don't know if we'll get terminal 15 activation as is. I'm gonna front probe this with the correct terminal carefully, obviously. Check for pin tension at the same time and see if we have our 12 volts there. So we have our headlamp here. This is a 4 amp draw. I am grounded on one side and I got my front probe here, and pin tension feels good, but we've got no activation. I'm gonna recheck my ground, try it in a different spot. We've got nothing. I'm gonna wiggle it a little bit, and last I checked my key was on. I'm just wiggling a little bit to see if something comes on somehow. Nothing is happening, so there is definitely an open circuit somewhere in this line, which makes complete sense with the data that we saw. We saw the CAS live data showing 12 volts, and we saw the DME snitching and saying that there's a short to earth, and then we could see why. Now, question is, where is that open circuit? Because the harness goes this way. Let me see if you guys can see this. Harness goes this way and into this area right here. So we're gonna have to, I think the best bet we can do is, instead of chasing down this harness, is make sure that there's truly 12-13 volts coming out of the CAS. Now, just because live data shows that there's 13 volts coming out of the CAS doesn't necessarily mean that there's a good circuit inside the CAS module. It could be well inside of the CAS module, but as it's coming out, there could be an open circuit in there. It could have been, this could have been shorted to ground for all we know and blown that CAS module terminal 15 line, and then you do a key cycle, terminal 15 doesn't, the CAS module no longer sees a short circuit to earth, so then it reestablishes the terminal 15. We don't know that. So, and the other thing that we could do while we're there at the CAS module is do a loaded test of this wire, because we cannot condemn a CAS module unless we've proven that this harness is not open circuited. So we could prove whether there's an open circuit in the harness while checking for 12-13 volts coming out of the CAS module, just like live data says, and take it from there. So I decided to try one more test just to rule out a loading issue or some kind of a cutoff issue. What if the CAS module doesn't like the amperage and decides to cut off the circuit? So as you can see on live data, it does show 12 volts at all times. So I'm going to, this is my headlamp right here, it is grounded, and I'm going to connect that, piggyback it to the test lamp lead, and it turns off my test light, and then that brings that down to the 10 volts. So what's going on? Is it voltage drop, or is it the CAS module not liking how much load there is there? So way I see it, if there was resistance in the wire, why would the CAS module turn that down? Right? This is reporting what's coming out of the CAS module, not what's coming into the DME. So this makes me think we have a weak CAS module issue here. Like it's not providing, there's high resistance in this circuit here. When we add this load, this headlamp load, it drops down to 0.1. What does this tell us? Live data inside the CAS module is seeing this, and there's too much load on terminal 15. This means that our wire is good. This has to mean that our wire is good and that our CAS module is bad. Another way we could prove that is to go to the CAS module and give it 12 volts on that wire and crank the engine and see if it starts up. That'll tell us that everything is good outside of the CAS module up to the DME. But for me, this tells me that the wiring is good. It has to be good. I disconnected it there, comes right back up. How could that be possible if there was high resistance in the harness, or if it was open circuited? It would be impossible. Those are my observations. This is without even getting to the CAS module yet. I think we should do the due diligence of going to the CAS module anyway, giving 12 volts to that wire directly, giving it a redundant 12 volts, and cranking over the engine, seeing if it starts right up. So I'm going to reconnect this. We're going to go to the CAS module and do just that. Alright, so we are at our CAS module here. We are on the green and yellow wire, and we have our test light, our key is on, and we do have that power coming out of the CAS, just like we did from probing at the DME. So we know that I believe that the wire is good. Do I really need to load up this circuit here? I don't think so. I think I could just prove my point by giving it positive. I'm not giving it positive here, it's just reading positive, but I want to inject power here. But before we do, I'm just going to confirm a couple of things. We have a circuit breaker on. We're going to put this on latch mode, and we're just going to, like, if the DME was shorted to ground, that test light would not be on, plain and simple, because we put a 4 amp headlamp on there. What I'm getting at is that if we do this, is the DME gonna short to ground once it runs? Who knows? We don't know yet. But as it stands right now with the key on, the DME is not shorting to ground. That much we do know, because we have a test lamp lighting up all the way from probing, and then now it is connected to the DME. Hope that makes sense so far. Now I'm going to give it actual juice with a 10 amp circuit breaker on there. It's a pretty thin wire. I don't know how much amperage it takes. I did not find any specs on this, so I don't know for a fact how much it should take, but we're going to give it power. We see it taking about 300 milliamps, and now we're going to try to crank this vehicle over. It could blow the circuit breaker. I don't know that I would raise it past 15 amps, but we're going to go ahead and try to start it up. We can see that our terminal 15 is good, obviously, and it should stay good. even while we crank this. Now let me just put this on a stand here. And I'm just gonna hit the pedal and start the car, hopefully. And that is bad news. That is bad news. What if we have two problems here because we're giving it power? That is not good. Let's do a key off and try one more time. It's pulling 0.6 amps while I'm cranking, fellas. That is not good. The DME is not pulling anything. That is not good. I could do the same test up at the DME just to be 100% sure. I think playing it safe, we probably should. But I think we have two problems here, and that's not good. How do you explain that to the customer, right? This is one of those things where if you didn't get it on video, nobody would believe you. When we give manual power to the terminal 15 wire, it does not start the car. When we load test the CAS module, it brings it down to 0.1 or 0.01, which means CAS can't handle that kind of wiring, that kind of load. All right, so my brother's gonna crank it, and we are right behind the DME on the same wire, and we're already giving it power. We can see the amperage is at 139 milliamps. Go ahead and crank it. Look at that. Okay. Very weird, huh? I'm gonna mold this over and present it to the customer and see where we end up, and take it from there. Everybody say what's up to Kevin.
How's it going?
This is Kevin. He's been here for how long?
Like 6 years now?
6 years at Autobahn. Wow. What you doing, man?
Working on this Mini.
What's going on with it? What's the concern?
Check engine light and idles jumping at stoplight. Has a fault code for the fuel tank ventilation system.
Fuel tank venting system. I think a lot of people who are watching may know where we're going with this.
I did the normal check and it felt fine, but then...
See, we got a vacuum gauge here. Just gonna start it up. It is connected, but it's not actuating. Wow. There it is.
Slowly creeps up.
So what's the lesson here?
Don't always trust the first test.
I like it. I like it. All right, so we got approval to replace both the CAS module and the DME. Brand new from the dealer. Let's go ahead and get these installed. All right, we got both modules installed and programmed and coded and all that good stuff and matched and all that. All right, so we've got both modules installed, coded, programmed, and matched. And I'm in a bit of a time crunch now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and finalize this video. We did do the Valvetronic limit relearn already, and yes, there are 262,000 miles on this BMW. It must be the first one I've ever seen. It runs semi smooth. It does have like a little bit of a imperfect idle, but that's going to be a separate concern, separate focus. I'm not going to film all that. We're going to present that to the customer. Obviously there's no way we could tell how the engine's going to run before it even gets fixed from being a crank no start condition. So I appreciate you all for taking the time to watch. I hope this was useful information. Yes, you can have multiple failures. Yes, one thing can kill the other. This does happen. So thanks again for watching, and be sure to hit like, subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you like what you see, and be sure to leave a comment in the comment section. I wish I could go more into detail, but right now I got to keep moving. And till next time.